morning. It's Tuesday, June 9th. In 1957, I was 22 years old. Gertrude was 19. And on this day, it was a Sunday, we got married. So, this is our 63rd wedding anniversary. That's a long time in this day and age. We got married at the Burnside Manor. It was a Sunday afternoon wedding because Saturday night was much more expensive. It was a very nice wedding. The Burnside Manor was located off of Jerome Avenue in the Bronx, about a mile from Yankee Stadium. It was a nice place. It wasn't very fancy or anything. It was a typical middle-class reception center. That's what they had in those days, and served its purpose. We had aunts and uncles and cousins and grandparents and friends at the wedding, and everybody had a grand time. The wedding ran till about 5:30 in the afternoon, from 2 o'clock or so. And then we had to change our clothes. And my brother was taking us down to the Port Authority building to go on our honeymoon. I didn't drive at that time, so we were taking a bus to the Poconos. We stayed at a nice place in the Poconos called Pokemont Lodge. Now, Pokemont Lodge has now upgraded itself and now calls itself Pokemont Conference Center, right? We had rented the honeymoon cottage for the astronomical sum at that time of $240 for the week. And when I was changing clothes to get into bed, my pajamas and everything, I discovered that I had left my wallet in the pants that I was wearing at the wedding. So that's how the first night started. But everything from there on went straight uphill. The next morning, I made a fast call home, and they sent me money to continue our honeymoon, which you were able to pick up at the Western Union office. Remember Western Union? And it was in the beautiful town of Bushkill, Pennsylvania. Now, Bushkill is well known in that part of the area for having the Niagara of Pennsylvania, Bushkill Falls. And Gertrude and I, during our honeymoon, took a trip to Bushkill Falls and watched this stream of water trickle down a slope of about 50 feet, and it was about 10 feet wide. It was a pretty spot, but it certainly wasn't Niagara Falls. Now, 1957 was kind of an interesting year. The stock market was in what they called a teddy bear at that time. The market averages were in the 400s, 460s, 470s. They were in a recession. It really was called a recession, and it lasted until 1961. Now, 57 was the last year that we had 3 baseball teams in New York, because that was the year that the Dodgers and the Giants decided that they were going to move to San Francisco. That shook up a lot of people in Brooklyn. It didn't really bother me in the Bronx. I was a Yankee fan. But I'm sure there's people out there right now who still are Dodger fans, right? The president of the United States at that time was Dwight D. Eisenhower. Elvis was at the top of his game, and on television, one of the leading shows was Leave It to Beaver. So that's pretty interesting. And that particular date, June 9th, is a historic date for a couple of movies that you'll remember, one of which was Psycho. Psycho opened on that date, but not in 1957. I think in 1960. And the Blues Brothers opened on that date, a couple years after Psycho. Now, that day we're talking about was 23,010 days ago. Life magazine cost 20 cents, and a postage stamp was 3 cents, and a gallon of gas was 27 cents a gallon. And one of the big words of our time was being used at that time, and the word was cool. Everything was cool. And if you wanted to know what was happening, it was cool. Did you have a good time? It was cool. Did you meet somebody nice? Yeah, she was cool. He was cool. You know what backseat bingo was? That was another term that was used in those days. That was the term they used for necking. So June 9th was quite a historic day, as far as I'm concerned, as far as my family is concerned, because from that day, we produced 3 lovely children, 7 grandchildren, if you count step-grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. We're still reasonably healthy, because I'm able to talk to you today. And if you notice, I'm sporting my white dinner jacket today in honor of this occasion. It doesn't fit exactly right anymore. However, I think it goes pretty well with the mask and the hat I'm wearing. So that's my trip down memory lane for you guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. And have a wonderful day. And I'll be back tomorrow with maybe a more interesting rant, maybe not.